Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday to you. It's so great to have you with me. And if you're joining me on the replay, happy replay day to you as well. We're live, and I'm excited to welcome you back to today's live level up conversation.
Welcome to Level Up with Winnie Sun.
Hi, friends. I'm Winnie Sun, your host, Forbes contributor, CNBC Council member, and award-winning financial pro, here to keep you on top of, important, relevant, trending business news. And of course, when the market tanks like today, I'm going to be here for you. But as you know, what's most important is that you're always going to be part of today's discussion. So I'm going to be monitoring on your feedback throughout the show with my team here. We have so much news to share with you. I wish it was better news. I felt like, earlier this week, we had a little bit better news. Vicky remembers because literally it wasn't that long ago, but it is wonderful to be here with you. Let me go ahead and update my microphone so you can hear me better. It is not registering. So let me do that real quick. Give me 1 second. These are the things we need to do. Okay, let me know if I think that should do it. Okay, well, anyhow, so great to have you back with us. This week, in fact, was a pretty choppy week, certainly very volatile week, but I'm guessing you didn't expect the market to drop as much as it did today. Even seeing yesterday's news and the Fed report, you're probably thinking, goodness, I thought it would be better. I thought so too. And then people are already starting to wish everybody a happy weekend, looking for Mother's Day. Unfortunately, the market had their own plans today. So let's talk about how it closed. The Dow closed down over 1,000 points, 1,063 points. The Nasdaq down 647 points as well. S&P 500 down 153. It looked red across the board. When you're looking at the different stock indices, you see all the different names. It was almost all red today. Big tumble today. Unfortunately, you might be wondering what's happening, right? So much news. And in fact, I have so many other things to sort of unwind for you. It's almost like a cinnamon roll, if you will, and the financial markets being a cinnamon roll, and like literally layer after layer, you're like, wow, it's all these things are having an impact on what we're seeing today. And the question is, when will this end? When will the volatility end? And of course, we want to know, are things going to get better or are they going to get worse? Well, let's talk about this a little bit, right? Yesterday, we heard, the Fed actually went ahead and increased interest rates by 50 basis points, which is 0.5%, right? So interest rates went up. Now, typically you would say, like, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Well, if your money is in the bank account, you might think that's a good thing because then hopefully the interest that you're earning on your checking or savings account, maybe that'll improve a little bit. If you're looking to buy a house or you're looking to refinance your house, if you're looking to buy a house and you need to get a mortgage, I should clarify that, might not be such a good thing, right? And we're going to talk about that as well. But overall, typically, if we're increasing interest rates, that usually means, well, we're trying to mitigate the sky high levels of inflation, which we knew just a couple months ago was sitting at 8.5%. Normally, inflation should be between 3 to 4%. So cost of goods are way too expensive. In fact, that just is sort of an average, right? For those of you who are getting groceries like I am, you're seeing cost of goods significantly higher than even 8.5%. And those of you filling up your tank each and every week or every couple weeks getting gas, you might see if you're filling up on diesel, that price has been already much more than 20% of an increase. And even regular fuel's gone up dramatically as well, very close to diesel prices as well. So things are getting a lot more expensive, and yet shouldn't things be getting better? Well, unfortunately, I wish I had better news. But here's the report that came out today, and this is actually pretty troubling. And I think it's something that we really need to be paying attention for those of us who are business owners, entrepreneurs. These are things you want to pay attention to because today, there was a report that came out, and this came up from the U.S. Labor Department, I believe, and this talks about the productivity report. And unfortunately, here in the United States, worker productivity has dropped over 7.5% in the first quarter. Now, this is the fastest decline since 1947. I know Vicky is saying these are crazy times. These are really crazy times indeed. So this is the fastest decline in worker productivity. So why is that? Well, one of the main reasons, and actually, my friend Jeff Cox on CNBC shared a really good article on this. I shared it on my Twitter feed earlier today. Really, really important. If you take a look at the first paragraph that he talks about, the main reason, one of the main factors for this less worker productivity for the first quarter of 2022 was, no surprise here, because of COVID-19. So it's interesting because many countries, including ours, are already talking about getting back to normal, right? COVID is not as big of an issue now. You can get back to normal. You can get back to travel. You can get back to work. Everything you can get back, everything has the facade of getting back to normal. But if you look at the financial figures, and we say, dollars and cents usually don't lie. It's math, plus, minus. Usually you can trust numbers more than anything else. Based on the numbers, we can tell that the pandemic still has a significant impact on our economy, on our worker productivity for sure. And if we can't get back to productivity, people can't get back to those previous levels of working hard and bringing in income and keeping the economy going. If that can't happen, then we don't have as much money to spend. So it's really a cycle here. So you're seeing that. You're seeing some pressure continue to raise it, but I thought that was a big thing. 1940, that's the last time that we were at productivity levels of this time, 40 years. Some of you tuning in aren't even 40 years old. So get that. That's pretty huge. Okay. So labor costs, though, just to give you an idea, labor costs has increased over 11% already. In the past 4 quarters, actually, Jeff reports that it's over 7.2%, which he reports as the fastest rise in 40 years. So people hiring employees, staff, that cost is going higher, and yet productivity is going lower. That's a big issue. That really is. At some point, companies are going to stop wanting to pay such high prices. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Now, the other thing that came out today was, it's almost like a triple whammy financial statistic number day, I will say. So here's another thing that came out. Every week, typically on Thursdays, we get the jobless claims report. Now, some weeks I share that with you. Some weeks I don't, because some weeks it's just like, not that exciting. But this week's actually really interesting. Now, weekless jobless claims reported, this is, of course, last week's numbers, increased to 200,000, which is well above the sort of the consensus that we see on the street. Economists definitely didn't expect this high of a number. And what this means is that this is the number of Americans who have now filed for unemployment. So now, to give you an idea of how big this is, now this is a big deal because this jobless claim number has been the highest level since February of some time. So it's been quite a long time since we had this many people filing for unemployment. So you've got now worker productivity decreasing, right? That's the number that we just saw, right? Worker productivity actually, to give you an idea, they started to fall in 2022. And so this is the fastest level that it's fallen in nearly 75 years, right? And labor costs continue to go higher. And then now we also report, as of last week, more Americans filing for unemployment. So we really have an issue in terms of productivity, getting back to work, getting back to normal. And one of the key causes for that is, unfortunately, the pandemic. So as much as we want to get beyond the pandemic, and we all do, I'm so sick of talking about the pandemic. I'm sure you're sick of hearing about it, but unfortunately, it's making its way and it's showing the numbers in our economy. And there's no way to hide from this. It's just really black and white. It's really black and white. And yeah, I mean, Vicky is definitely tuning in. I hear you, Vicky. Vicky is sharing some really big numbers for us too. So thank you so much for doing that. The other area, and I call it triple whammy day, because we talk about worker productivity or lack of productivity, or lessened, I should say, not lack of, but lessened productivity, increasing on wage costs, right? And we also talked about more Americans having to file for unemployment last week, which was an unexpectedly high number. But here's the big one too. And this is one I've had a lot of people call me about, that they're concerned, they're stressed out, they don't even know what to do. And this is, of course, because the Fed increased interest rates yet again yesterday, 0.5%. That was actually really tremendous. That's actually a big, big increase. Well, the 30-year mortgage, unfortunately, has now also leaped to over 5.2%. And to give you an idea of what this means, now some of you have had mortgages at numbers significantly higher than that. My first home, I remember the mortgage was, I think, 7 or 8%, something like that. And at that point, that was, we were thinking that was okay at that point. We've been just used to seeing these really sky low, I should say. I guess it's not sky low. I guess earth dropping low mortgage rates, right? Of like the 2%, the 3%. Some of you maybe got something in the 1%. I don't know. But here's the thing, the 30-year mortgage now has leaped to 5.2%. 5.27%, in fact, I should say. And it's the highest since 2009. So if you're currently looking for a home or you haven't refinanced yet, this is actually really bad news. So definitely higher borrowing costs, right? And then the cost of inflation, goods are more expensive. The cost of real estate, even the prices are higher. So you've got a lot of issues for a lot of Americans. And so this is concerning. These are things that continue to put pressure on the US economy. And of course, now investors are getting nervous. You're seeing that. Today was a very, very clear indication that investors are quite nervous by what they're hearing, what they're seeing, and also what they're experiencing. In fact, I just talked to a client yesterday who said, I said, and they talked to me and they said, "How you doing?" I said, "Yeah, today I'm a little off. I kind of have a headache going on." And the first thing they said is like, hope you don't have COVID." And I said, "No, I don't have COVID. I don't have COVID. I'm okay." And they said, "Because everybody I know right now seems to be having COVID right now." And I was sort of shocked to hear that. Probably I shouldn't be shocked, but I guess because I haven't talked to a lot of people about the topic of COVID recently, but they said, it feels like everybody I know right now either is dealing with COVID, getting over COVID, or is like, in denial that they're about to get COVID. So once again, this continues to be an underlining theme. So if you're watching the financial markets, you're concerned about your retirement accounts, your kids' college savings account, your savings account, your checking account, and you're thinking about how you're going to make rent, how you're going to make that next mortgage payment. These are the things you want to pay attention to. And that is the biggest thing, in my opinion, that's going to help us get this economy back on track, the stock market moving forward, is we got to really we got to crack this COVID code, if you will. We need to figure out a way, not just to say and think that we're beyond it, but actually truly get beyond it. Because otherwise, there's going to be this cycle of unemployment and inflation and everything else, because it keeps on causing problems in our supply chain and our employees and our new hires and everything else. So we got to get this done. So it is wonderful to see you, Joshua, CrossX Fighter. Always a treat. Really some great topics here, and I want to make sure that you're all paying attention to this, because so often we like to talk about the fun things, right? But I think as active members of society, as business owners, as workers, as people who are really responsible in our own personal finances, we need to be paying attention to these very important statistics, because regardless of how you feel about politics, and if you know me, I'm not a political person. I really don't like controversy. So it's like I get real stressed out just even thinking about it. But what I absolutely do pay attention to is the black and white, and that is numbers, right? Statistics, how many people this, how many people that. And if you're going to be actively paying attention to your finances, you got to understand one of the biggest things that continues to keep our economy and the market from going forward consistently, calmly, is unfortunately the pandemic. So paint it any way you want to. The pandemic, my friends, is the biggest issue. So if you're with me on this and you agree with this, and I'm thinking you will, then I think we should continue to encourage more people to take it seriously, do their part to make life a little bit better for all of us. Because I don't know about you, I'm ready for a vacation. I'm certainly ready for a cruise, and I'd love to do that. But I think we need to get these underlining themes taken care of first. But on a positive note, we got Mother's Day coming this Sunday. So if you didn't plan already, this is sort of your last hurrah. Don't forget Mother's Day, a big thing this Sunday. Hopefully, you're planning something very special for a mom or someone like a mom in your life. And with that, another thing to celebrate is May, I want to share with you, is Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Now, this is a whole month where we get to celebrate Asian Americans. So I want to definitely put that out there and give special recognition. I know a lot of Asian Americans have struggled, especially during the pandemic. And in fact, there was a report today that said record levels of Americans actually still to this day blame Asian Americans for the pandemic, which blows my mind. But it is what it is. So I just thought I'd share that with you. If you have an Asian American in your life, do know that this is sort of that month that they're celebrating. You're going to see a lot of content on that topic. So this is what it is. So it's a month and a chance to acknowledge the historic achievements of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders and to highlight their impact on American history. So thank you so much, my friends, for tuning in. It is such a treat to have you with me. And of course, we'll see how tomorrow goes. The market's really crazy again. I'll definitely come back and share with you again. If not, I'll see you next Monday. So please take a moment, if you can, to share this show with someone that you care about, and actually put a reminder in, because Monday I have a very special show scheduled for you. We have a guest coming in. He is incredible. Let me just say that he's a rock star in his own right, but he's not a rock star. He's definitely somebody you'll want to meet. You'll really enjoy meeting him. So do put a reminder for yourself. That'll be Monday, 2:30 Pacific, which will be 5:30 Eastern, depending on where you're joining me from. And as a reminder, you're going to be able to find full episodes of Level Up on NASDAQ, KBCW, Amazon Fire, and Roku, and many other platforms. And we're excited, of course, to share that Yes Factor, our brand new podcast, is available on the podcast platform that you prefer to check out. So just Google Winnie Sun Podcast, Yes Factor Podcast. I know a lot of people tune in on Apple Podcasts, so that's a really good place to find us. With that, be well. Have an amazing weekend if I don't talk to you tomorrow, and I will see you again very soon. Take care now.